Hey there. Thanks for hanging out with K-Dubs and listening to the podcast. Much appreciated. Check us out on YouTube. Shoot us an email. Let us know how we're doing. Hanging out with kdubs@gmail.com. And as always, enjoy the next episode. Bryton Crosby.
How's it going, Kyle?
Good to see you, friend.
You as well.
How's things?
Oh, things have been great.
That's what I like to hear.
Staying busy, that's for sure.
Well, that's, in today's world, you kind of have to.
Yeah?
You sit around too long, you get all fat and chubby like me, you know?
I mean, I'm already there.
I don't lay around all day, but I'm a little on the chubbier side. You know, the dad bod's in action for a guy that's not a dad, you know?
Oh, yeah, I embrace it.
You should. I mean, you are. Two little ones now. Well, one little one and one kind of little one.
Yeah. The oldest is starting first grade tomorrow.
Jesus, where does time go?
I don't know. She just had a birthday, turned 6. Addie made a video, and I just didn't realize how grown up she's already starting to look. Like,
it's crazy. Yeah, I seen her a couple weeks ago at the fair, and I was like, "Damn, she's getting big."
yeah,
she's gotten bigger since the last time I seen her. And you know, I mean, I see her. You know, we see each other. You know, whatever, half a dozen times a year, or maybe even a little more than that. But still, was like, man, that growth spurt's starting to kick in.
Yeah,
it's 6.
I mean, she thinks she's 16 most of the time, but
6 going on 16. Yeah. I've heard all those stories about kids and how that all works. But that's fun though. It's fun.
Oh yeah.
So the reason you're here today is we got to talk about some cool stuff for people that don't have a clue, like myself. Never really got involved into firefighting and things like that. So first of all, thank you for doing what you do.
Thanks for asking me.
Of course. And you know, we need firefighters for said situations, and it's really cool that people are willing to do what you do to protect the rest of us, which is just awesome. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Why don't we get into it?
Yeah.
Why don't you, because you started off really right out of high school, didn't you?
Yep. Right after I graduated that summer, I got interviewed at Harvard, started there, basically started my entire career.
Was that full-time or?
Part-time.
Part-time.
So they ended up, at the beginning, it was just all my volunteer time because I wasn't certified in anything yet. But I actually didn't even think about firefighting as a career until being a senior in high school. They did a dual credit with McHenry County College. And I went on a few calls after doing ride-alongs, and I was like, you know what? I love this. This is fun. So then it all just started in Harvard
from there,
because that's where I did ride-along, and they said, hey, why don't you come apply once you graduate? Yeah.
So you obviously you applied. They hired you there.
Yep.
But you said you weren't certified. So can you go into that? What did you need to do to become certified? And what and what does that mean? Like, you know, obviously there's people that are certified to be a nurse or a doctor, but that's 10 years of schooling or 4 years of schooling. What did your situation look like?
So to start working at Harvard, you don't have to be a paramedic yet. You have to start off at the EMT level, which is the EMT basic level, which is when I took it was like a 6-month course. So I did that for about 6 months after doing a bunch of trainings at Harvard and going through with a bunch of guys. Like, they're like, okay, now that the fall class has started, you're gonna be an EMT. So I did that for 6 months. We went to the hospital, went to classes for 6 months, had to do clinicals, and then take the national exam, get your EMT license, it's a national certification, but then you apply to the state and you get your state license. And then once that was finished, I was able to do more on calls, do skills, run calls. And then once I got that certification, I went to Fire Academy, which was also another 6-month semester.
And that's, sorry to interrupt, is that through the college then? So
yes.
you literally could just go right to the college and say, hey, I'm going for an EMT certification.
Yep.
And at that point in time, it was a 6-month course. Homework, obviously tests.
Yep. All the time. Hours.
And then it was the same thing for your firefighting skills then, too, correct?
Yeah. And what's really nice about that with the college is you don't have to be on a department to start. So you can go get your EMT, do ride-alongs, and see if you really want to do this. And then, so like with Fire Academy, you have to be sponsored by a department, so they'll loan you some training gear and stuff, so you're able to go through the class. But yeah, so then Fire Academy was about 6 months as well. It was 3 days a week, 3 days a week and Saturdays. And then, which is when we did all our trainings, like during the week was the classroom stuff. And then we went out to the training towers, learned all the skills. We did live fire training. So they had fire going with smoke conditions, and basically did all our certifications through that.
So they gave you like the suit and oxygen tanks and all that kind of stuff that you had to train in.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, some people end up finding out they're claustrophobic with the mask because it's complete enclosed mask.
Yeah, I'm sure some people get into that and go, this is cool, but
Yep, so, and they'll put you through an SCBA maze is what they call it. So you'll have to go through, like, up and down different crooks, crannies, sidewalls. They have wire entanglements so you can, in case of, say, like a building collapse or something, and there's wires on top of you, you know how to get the wires out and still scoot under to get through. So they just put you all in those different situations, and even falling through a floor.
Well, that's awesome that they train you in that, because you never know. Like if my house started on fire, the only thing you got to worry about is the main floor and going into the basement.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get into some of these bigger cities that have apartment complexes and things like that are 30 floors tall, okay, now you're trained to figure out how to go through that. Okay, we know, I'm not sure, I'm just ballparking here, but okay, we need to check this floor to make sure that the heat's not up to here and it's secure to walk on.
Yep.
Type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so we always got to walk through, sound the floor. And a lot of people watch, like, say, Chicago Fire, and you can see. Sometimes in fires, you can't see your hand in front of your face. So it's all just feel, kind of trying to remember the room layout, where you're orientated to where you went into the building, looking for doors and windows. So if you do have to escape because fire conditions changes, you just never know.
You never know.
And like in today's world, everything that burns in new houses and stuff, everything goes so much quicker. The toxic chemicals are way worse. It's just, you can have a house go fully involved in 10 minutes and
make sure your fire detectors are up to date. Your smoke alarms. Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome that they teach you all of that through this college course. And you can be trained on how to do this stuff the safest way possible. And I'm using that term loosely, because people that go into a burning building, your safety is on your own hands at that point.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So when you so obviously you were sponsored by the Harvard Fire Department to go to do your fire training, and obviously you got certified in that.
Yep.
Then what?
Then after that, I worked with Harvard I still technically am on the roster with Harvard, but
when the emergency contact, then it's you, right?
Yep. Just taking a little break due to being on probation at the full-time place right now. I was working for a few years. I ended up having Quinn, so I didn't go to paramedic school right away, but that's kind of the next step.
So it's EMT, and then fire, and then paramedic after that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Most full-time departments are required to have paramedic at time of hire. Some places will hire you and then send you to paramedic school, which is nice as well. Yeah, those are the three main classes that will really start your career to getting full-time, getting all those benefits, getting a really nice schedule.
We'll get into that stuff.
Yeah.
So you had Quinn, obviously, and then went back to get your paramedics certificate at that point?
Yep. After a couple years, I got hired on Huntley part-time, so working at both departments, just back and forth. Then it was, hey, you want to go to paramedic school this year? I was like, yep, I'll do it. Went through paramedic class, and then you got to take the which is a year-long program. Some programs are a year and a half long, and then you got hundreds of hours in all the different hospital floors and departments of the hospital. So like cath lab, the OR, the ER, the burn units.
Well, that way you probably can see
everything.
And that gives you an idea that, hey, we might have to deal with this, or we could deal with this, or if a situation arises, we're learning here in the ER or the OR. We're learning on how to take care of this quickly to get them to the actual rescue squad so they can do their thing on their way to the hospital, correct?
Yep. Okay. So like in the ER, that's where, I don't want to say it's in a controlled setting, but it is, because you have doctors, nurses that'll help you hone in on your skills. You're learning new skills. In the OR, you're learning to intubate people. And since it's in a nice controlled environment, you have an anesthesiologist next to you and helping you, talking you through it. Because when you get in the field, everything's heightened because
the situation
right now, and we have to get them to the hospital.
Correct. So you obviously you got that done then.
Yep.
And then you said that was a year-long process. So you were part-time for both places then at that point to get your paramedic certification.
Yeah.
Cool. And then what?
And then I ended up getting hired full-time in Libertyville, which I was halfway through paramedic program at that point. So they were one of the departments that hired you as an EMT. And then I got my paramedic certification, finished a year working there, and then I got a call about 6 months ago to get hired full-time in Huntley. So I ended up going back. It was a tough decision, but based on the options and looking at the future standpoint, because I guess I am considered young, but
yes, you're considered young.
And
that's coming from me. You're considered young.
Yeah. But, having that family, it was what was going to be best for us, our future, the kids.
Well, and I'm sure Huntley's quite a bit closer to Libertyville, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I cut the drive in half, which was great.
That's a huge thing. Because after you put in a long day, you sure that half the distance of driving really matters.
Yeah. Yeah, because some nights you just don't sleep. You could be up all night, the full 24 hours.
So I was just going to say, what does your work schedule look like now that you've been, because you said you've been there about 6 months now, right? So what does your work schedule look like?
So a full-time schedule for us is 24/48. So we're on 1 day, off 2 days. So basically you work every third day. It comes out to being like 10, 11 days a month without any vacation days or anything your first year.
That's still a pretty good gig.
Yeah. It's pretty nice.
10 days
can't
on,
complain.
20 days off, or even 11 days on, 20 days off, depending on the month. Wow, that's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, it's definitely been nice. It gives me more at-home time with the kids. I have more time to do things on the side. Like I can work a second job. I can just do whatever.
Do something you're passionate about then at that point, because you got time to do it. And it's I got to go to work. I got to work this next 24 hours. So what is it, like midnight to midnight, noon to noon, 10 to 10?
Ours is 7 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Okay.
I know some departments do like 8 to 8. It just depends.
Yeah, I just was curious. I didn't know the exact 24 hours that you were working. And then take me through a busy day, right? I'm sure you've been there now. You've been there for a little while now. I'm sure you've had some busy days. Don't have to use names, don't have to use places, but take me through a busy day of one that you've had.
So I normally try and get to work by 6 a.m. so I can get changed and ready in case there is a late call, so I can relieve the other guy so they can go home. They can relax. That's kind of like the standard per se is so those guys can go home. They're not late. They're not leaving after 7.
Makes sense.
We usually start our days with our morning checks. So we got to check the rig, make sure we have all our equipment, everything's working properly. So if we do get that call at 7:01, we know everything's working.
Now, when you mean rig, I mean, are you talking the fire trucks themselves then?
The fire trucks and ambulances, yeah.
So you make sure that all the hoses are on there, and you make sure that all your fire gear's ready to rock and roll. You check all that stuff over. You make sure your oxygen tanks are good to go at that point.
Make sure your batteries are full for your radios, your packs, your tools. One new and stuff, I'm not an engineer yet, so I'm mostly on the ambulance. So you got to make sure we got fuel, drugs are checked and tagged, make sure they weren't messed with, used, missing, make sure our monitors work. Just in case, you never know when a call's really going to come in.
And you never know what you're going to need. So you might as well have everything prepped and ready to rock. So when that time comes, you guys are as prepared as you can be.
Yeah, some people say it's like a mini doctor's office, a mini hospital in the back of the ambulance.
Oh, I can believe that. I can totally believe that. Because, you probably, I don't know. Hold on a second. Let me think about this. I'm pausing because I don't know if I want to say this or not, but I'm going to say it anyway, and you could either just shake your head and we'll move to the next topic, but I'm sure you probably got to have some narcotics and stuff that are in there, and I'm sure you probably got to have cleaning solutions and all sorts of different things that you might need for sedication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything is, so the way we do it, we have, like narcotics, they're in a safe. You have to have a code to get in the safe. You got to make sure that they weren't tampered with.
What's that code number? Do you know? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. 000, right?
Nope, everyone has their own personal.
That makes sense. That would be a good thing to do it.
Yep. So you can't use someone else's code to get in, and they're able to track it. Who opened it?
Perfect. That's the reason I was hesitant to say that is because I didn't know all the security. I was assuming that it was pretty secured. Yeah. That you're not just going to walk in and be like, oh, well, here's the oxycodone right here. Because we need that, right?
Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, everything's got to be sterile, wiped down, clean for the next patient. Just because there are a lot of germs out there, like with COVID all the time, making sure we had masks available and all that kind of stuff. And then in the morning, we do morning chores, make sure all the bathrooms are clean, garbages are empty. The firehouse it's your second home because you're there a third of the year. And
for a significant amount of time at a time. Yeah. We talked that it's nice to have that 24 on, 48 off, but you're there 24 hours too.
Yeah.
So you're there 24 hours every third day. So it is a second home. And I think most jobs are that way, right? I work 40 hours a week. Now, mine is in 5 days. So I have 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, where you're 24 hours a day, either 2 or 3 days a week. You're there all the time. So you might as well try to make the best of it, make everything look nice, make everything look clean. I totally get it.
Yeah, it's like we sleep there, eat multiple meals a day. You got to make sure dishes are done. So it's your laundry's done for work, so your uniforms are ready and clean. So it's just like a second house. We just don't have little kids running around every day making messes with toys.
Leave that at home. So so obviously you get your morning checks done, and that's from everything in the and you said you're the ambulance guy, right? So that's your responsibility.
Yep.
How many? Sorry to interrupt again. How many people are there full time at any given period? Do you know? When you're on duty, are there 4 other people that are there with you all the time?
Yeah. So at my station, we have 5 people every day. We have 2 on the ambulance, 3 on the engine.
Okay, that was my that was what I was trying to get at.
So once morning checks are done, we have a morning meeting. It's kind of like a Zoom call. It's called Teams meeting or whatever it's called. With the battalion chief and all the other stations, because there's 5 stations, and they lay out what's going on for the day. Like, hey, the other day we had trainings in the morning. We had pub ed events. We have coming up like pictures. Like, it's just so you kind of can plan out your day. Like, hey, when are we going to be able to go shop? Other trainings that we have to fit in because we have monthly training. So we basically train every single day.
Yeah, we're going to get onto that subject here in a little while.
But, Yeah, find out what's going on for the day, if people got to be certain places, certain times. Then after that, once your station's good, our typical day usually, hey, we got training starting at, say, 9 a.m. or whatever the training is going to be. It's either multiple stations, you do it in your station, and then you got to mix all that in with calls for the day. It could be you're not running any calls, and you're able to get all the trainings and everything done, have lunch, work out, because we usually have lunch around noon. We have like an hour lunch, kind of like a period, like lunch period, but that anything can get interrupted.
Yeah, with your job, you can be just getting the whatever, just getting your meal set down and call comes in.
Then in the afternoons around 2, 3 o'clock, we always work out as a crew, which is nice because we have gyms upstairs with weights, and so we work out for at least an hour and a half every day. Sometimes get interrupted middle, but it is what it is.
It's part of life.
And then after that, the day is kind of yours to, hey, you got like computer work because we have online trainings that we got to complete as well. A lot of guys right now are doing like lieutenant's testing, so they're reading, doing their stuff to get prepared for their testing. Yeah, that day's kind of yours, and then we have dinner, and then usually kind of just relax after dinner, clean up after dinner, mop the floors, get everything cleaned again for whatever mess we made, so the incoming crew has a nice clean house to come into, and they don't have to worry as much if they get calls all morning and can't get to chores or whatever. It's kind of helping each other out, make sure everything's clean for them.
So that's a slow day, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
That's what happens on a slow day. Take me through a busy day. Have you had a busy day there?
Yeah.
Take me through one.
So the other day, we ended up running a couple calls back to back because we get toned out, go to the call, then we got to transport to the hospital, come back, type reports. We could be on the way back from the hospital. We caught another call. So then we ended up reports behind. And then we ended up being behind a couple reports. We got sent to Marengo because they had a bad accident going on. So we ended up taking a couple patients from Marengo to Huntley again to the hospital. So then we're stacked up with 4 reports that aren't complete. And we got to complete those reports, fax them to the hospital once they're done. And then...
Yeah, and we're not talking a 2-hour period here, right?
No, this is over, like, the morning span. So, like, I was on the ambulance with one guy. I don't think we saw the engine for more than an hour until dinner time. So it was just back and forth. And then sometimes we'll be coming back from the hospital, and, like, we had to go do training. So we tried to make it to training, but ended up going on another call. As right now I'm at Station 3, so we cover Del Webb, which has a ton of people.
Yeah, that's in the south side of Huntley there, right?
Yep. And then...
Right before 90, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big stretch of house, tons of houses and tons of people. And then my station's next to all the nursing homes and assisted living facilities. So we go there all the time. It's...
Well, at least it's not a dull job.
No.
It's not boring the way it sounds. I mean, I'm sure, this is going to sound bad, but I'm sure you're like, man, I would love to have a boring day on a job.
Yeah. Those are nice once in a while. You get that little break. Any projects you have going on, like at our station, we just had a pass-down board that we made. So
What's that?
So we put it up on the wall. It has the date, who is the battalion chief, what shift color it is, where people are at on the rigs, any station notes, or other comments going on. So we made this nice board. We did a old-style chalkboard that we put up there, so we write on that every day. We were able to get that hung up on the wall and make that our own little personal station pass-down thing. So
that's cool.
Yeah, we were able to complete that yesterday, which was really nice.
Good. When you do these reports, I mean, I'm sure these reports aren't just this is what happened and this is what we did, or is that
no, that's...
I'm sure they're probably more in-depth than that, though, correct?
A little bit more. So, like, it starts out, like, it goes through, hey, what were we called for? It has all these different tabs along the side, like all our times, what we were dispatched for, what their symptoms were, what we saw, like it has all these different things, and you got to get signatures from the patient or the hospital. But then, yeah, the narrative, you got to type a narrative, and that's basically, this is what we were called for, this is what we saw, this is what we did, this changed. And we got to add in, like, anytime we give medications or do procedures, like put someone on a backboard, this and that, we got to put that into our timeline because everything becomes time-stamped of, hey, we got on scene at, say, 7:30 in the morning. We ended up transporting it at 7:45, but we put someone in a C-collar. We took a 12 lead, which is, we put them on the cardiac monitor, so it has that rhythm. Everything gets uploaded in it so they can see. So anytime, because those are all official documents, and if you get taken to court on certain calls, that's all you have to go off by, because that call could be from 5 years ago. And so you got to document everything well so you can recall
You
all
can
the events.
remember what happened.
Uh-huh.
Gotcha. Well, that's really, with technology nowadays, it's probably pretty good to have all that.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the simple fact of hey, Bryton, 6 months ago, you were called to a home for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? And you're going to say, boss, man, I've been on 38 calls since then. Like, I don't know. Bring up the log. You can bring up the log, and then you can read your own words and be like, oh, yeah.
Yep.
You know, that dumbass Kyle over there up there in Harvard, he got the fire got a little too close to the house and burned his hand, and that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really good to have that. I can totally see why they would have that there, because you can recall that memory in your brain then. Because I'm sure every one of them stick out to you in some shape, way, or form, whatever the situation was, you're going to remember something specific about what happened. And then once you can read that in your own words, you can go, oh, okay.
Yep.
Now I got it.
Mm-hmm. Any special situations that happen, or people make any statements or whatever, depending on what the call is, we're able to know, like, oh, yeah, they really did say that, or we really did do this, or we didn't do that, which is really nice because you get those major calls that, like, I can remember my first couple calls, certain calls from 7 years ago. So it's just, you can't really remember every little detail that you'd need.
No. It's no different than you asked me about a specific customer of mine 12 years ago. It's like, well, I know the customer, but I don't recall the situation, or I don't recall what I sold them, or whatever. Yeah, it's really good to have that, because you're protecting your own ass then, and you're also protecting the fire department at that point too. That's awesome to be able to do that.
Because they say if it's not documented, it didn't happen.
It's perfect.
So
that's awesome. That's perfect, because that's not true. But if it's documented, you can say, okay,
yep,
it really did happen. We were there I was there with so and so and so and so, and whatever the case may be. But that's really good to have that documentation there.
Yeah, and even in that stuff, like with the whole COVID thing going on, you were able to put in all the protective equipment you were wearing. So it's like, hey, if you got COVID, you can see that you were protected, you were wearing the proper gear, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far into that rabbit hole, but I'm sure your guys' lives got a little bit more complicated when all that came across. Because we need you guys. The society in general needs firefighters and paramedics and police officers, and we need that, because there are bad people in this world, and there are people that get hurt that you guys need to be there for. So I'm sure when COVID happened, it was just like, oh, by the way, here's the parameters that you guys had before. Yep. Now these are the new parameters, because we need to protect everybody.
Yeah, there was definitely a big change with that. That was definitely different.
Are you guys still on those parameters, or a lot of them have gone by the wayside?
No, everything's kind of gone by on the wayside. Like, we have certain policies for our department, like if there's any possible, like, COVID exposure, they possibly have it, we'll still put on that protective equipment just to protect us, so we're not getting sick and bringing it home to our families. And
I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. You are you happy doing the ambulance thing?
Oh, I love it.
Do you?
I love the busy days. It makes the days fly by. We can be gone all day long and be like, oh, it's dinner time. Where'd the day go?
Do you guys keep sandwiches and stuff in the truck just in case you do have a busy time?
No, not usually. We go shopping every shift. Everyone has we do like a $15 a day meal because it used to be $10, but like prices at stores went up.
Yeah, everything's gone up.
So we had to put it raise our price. But everyone chips in $15 a day, and then we go like in the morning meetings if we can. Hey, what do we want to eat today? And then we go off that budget that we have, and we go shopping. And
so you guys make enough so everybody eats the same thing. Then.
Yep.
So we're like, hey, we're having tacos today at lunch. Okay, so we're gonna make sure we buy enough ground beef and tortilla chips and cheese and salsa and all that. Okay, and then tonight we're gonna have pizza. So we're gonna buy a couple of pizzas and cook them up or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, we usually try and be under budget, and then we have a kitty set up, so it gives us the extra fun. Because like we like to do Pizza Fridays, we'll order out a pizza.
Oh, perfect.
And then if we're over budget, we're able to tap into the kitty. So it's like, hey, we went $10 over. Okay, but we had $10 from the kitty left over, so it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, that's a great thing to do because like, okay, well, this ship's going to cost me $15. Boom, it's done.
Yep.
You get that mentality every time, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we got $400 in this kettle. Maybe we're grilling steaks tonight, or whatever, But that's a cool thing to do that y'all eat together and you eat the same thing, and that's awesome.
And usually they call it the engine's job to cook, but everyone pitches in. It's like, hey, what do you need? Like, oh, we need onions and tomatoes chopped. Like, everyone just starts helping out, setting the table, just getting everything ready. But everyone puts into their own part and helps out, which is really great.
Yeah, it's a team effort then.
Yeah,
because you guys are a team essentially. You each have your own specific job to do, and if somebody doesn't do their job right, or somebody goes above and beyond, it makes that entire fire department look good.
Yeah, they call it your second family because I'm with those. Most of the time, I'm with the same exact guys every third day. So I'm with those guys a third of the year. Our families, we ended up working Father's Day. We decided, hey, we're going to have a big family breakfast, invite the families over.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so wives are meeting, kids are playing together, guys hang out off shift now. I got a group of guys who they always go camping together all the time. So, it's basically your second family becomes family, which is really nice.
Yeah, I found that out. That's not just with the fire department or anything. That's with coworkers in general, right? You're going to have your coworkers that you really enjoy. You really enjoy to be around. You like to see them, and you think to yourself, man, I'd like to hang out with them sometime outside of this place. What do they really like? Do they enjoy pool? Do they enjoy, throwing darts? Maybe they're into Dungeons and Dragons. Who knows? I mean, it's just, when you get that relationship with somebody, it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun to do.
Yeah, you end up learning all their personal lives out of it. All their family members. You always ask how they're doing, how the kids are,
Well, and I think, and this is my opinion only, but I think in a career like yours, the closer that you are with your coworkers, the more you're going to try to help them too. Maybe you're having an off day. Maybe Bryton comes in and whatever, you're just having an off day, and somebody says, "Hey, don't worry, I'll pick you up. I got you." Or the next shift, somebody else is having an off day, and you're feeling good. Hey, you know what? You just take care of this. I'll handle that situation, or I'll handle this paperwork, or whatever that goes on.
Yeah.
And that's what teamwork's all about.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
And when one person is not having that, the other person gives a little more.
Yep.
That's just awesome to see that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, we go into dangerous situations sometimes. Like, you're protecting, you want to make sure everyone goes home to their family.
Agreed.
So you get that bond with people, and it's nice. And even going on EMS calls, you get that critical call. And because you guys are so been working together, you guys have that good relation, like you don't even have to talk or tell them what to do because everything just gets done.
Well, that was the next thing I wanted to just touch base on, because I'm sure if you all go to a bad call, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
We don't even need to get a detail on it. But I'm sure you all know what each other is going to do just by looking at each other. Like I can look at you and go, okay, you're going to go do this and go do this. You're looking at me and no, I'm going to go do that and go do that. And everybody is going to be on the same page then.
Yep. And then if you don't see something getting done, you just hop into that spot. So like the ambulance guys, we go on a full arrest or something. It's, hey, do you want to do this or this? Like on the way to the call, figuring out what's going on. And then the other guys coming in, they're going to see what's not being done, and they'll just hop in and do it. You don't have to tell them. It's great.
Yeah, it's great to have a team like that. And I'm sure that you've been to 3 different fire departments. I'm sure each fire department does things a little bit different. So you'll have to learn, like when you come into Huntley and now you're there full time, you probably have to learn the way that they do things.
Yep.
Because Libertyville probably did things just a little bit different. I mean, it was similar, but maybe this job was to do this specific thing, and now your job was over there was the same, but it also includes this or doesn't include that.
Yeah, just different ways to do things. Like in Lake County, they're just the way they ran things were a little differently. Protocols are all different. But basically, at the end of the day, it's kind of the same. It's just how do they do it. You just got to learn like the Huntley way.
The Huntley way.
Yeah.
The Huntley way. Well, that's good, man. I'm glad you found a little family down there, and I'm glad you're really enjoying your job. That's my hat's off to you, because it really is. That's a situation I don't crumble under pressure, but I sure handle it differently.
Yeah, right?
And people like yourselves, they need to be able to do their jobs under pressure at that point, because to be blunt, if you don't do that, bad things can happen.
Yep. And a lot of times you could be doing it in the front of the public, and the public looks at us differently. They look at us that we know everything. We know how to fix everything. So it's, you got something happening in the public, you got hundreds of eyes, and like nowadays, everyone with cameras. So we always got to be professional. We like to have a good time at the department. Within the walls of our department, we'll have a good time. We'll play games, like if we have downtime or something on holidays. But then again, those tones go off. We got to change and become as professional as we can be.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's no different when you're in the public's eyes. You got to be as professional as you possibly can. I've learned that throughout my career.
Yeah.
Where it's fine as soon as the customer leaves, I can look over to a coworker and flip them off, and they flip me off back, and that's just the way it is. But as soon as that customer walks in the door, or in your case, as soon as that patient happens, then it's none of that happens. Then it's, okay, what's going on? What can we do? In your situation, it's that way. In mine, it was, hey, how you doing? I'm Kyle. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
How can I be of service today? Yeah, it's because the public can be your greatest friend. They can also be your worst enemy.
And like, we're there for the public. Anyone calling 911, it's usually their worst day. Like, they don't know who else to call.
Correct.
So
this podcast episode is sponsored by Dan's Diesel Performance. If you're looking to improve your truck's performance, efficiency, or appearance, check out Dan's Diesel Performance. They manufacture turbochargers, fuel injectors, fuel pumps, transmissions, intake piping, and much, much more. Plus, they offer all the top brands in the diesel industry. They're located in Machesney Park, Illinois. Visit their website at dansdieselperformance.com or give them a call at 815-977-5865.
Yeah, and then, everybody's different. Your reason to call 911, someone might think, oh, why are we calling 911? That's a waste of time. But that person, it's their problem, not yours. Like, that could be their worst day. That's the worst thing that's ever happened to them, or, whatever.
Yeah, I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, because we go on all different types of call.
Oh, I'm sure.
So we could,
Okay, story time. Tell me the stupidest 911 call you've ever been on. Don't mention any names. Don't even mention the place. But if there was like, hey, yeah, we got a 911 call, you might want to go check it out, and you get there and you're like, really? One of those. Give me one. Come on, give me one.
well, actually last night.
What's the stupidest one you've been on? Well, last night was a good one, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
it was at a certain nursing home, whatever. Guy's bedridden. He dropped his remote. Couldn't get the remote. Couldn't reach nursing staff, whatever. So they ended up calling I think he used Siri to call 911 because he couldn't get his phone either. And he couldn't get any of the nurses, so he called 911 and said, hey, I need my remote. So I went and picked up his remote.
Wow.
Yeah, that was, like I said, we get called for everything.
No shit. That's a pretty non-emergency phone call, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion, but that's just, wow. Because I dropped my remote. Hey, can I call you if I drop my remote over here? Come pick it up for me.
I probably won't show up.
I would expect you not to. I might just do that now just out of spite. About 3 months from now, I'm just going to give you a call. Hey, what are you doing? I'm at home with the kids. Good. Go pick up my remote. Yeah. It's going to be an endless joke now, just so you know that.
Which, whatever. It is what it is. We stay nice and professional all the time. He needed help. We went and helped him.
Well, the big thing that...
And they appreciate that.
Yeah. The one thing that we do have in common is that we are both public servants, right? Both of our salaries are paid by taxpayers. Mm-hmm. So we have to do our very best, no matter what the situation is, whether we like it or we don't. But we have to do the very best at our job because all eyes are on us.
Yep.
Whether we want to believe that or not. I mean, I know even in my job, I mean, I've had a lot of people that call and say, hey, thanks for, I come from Rockton every day to Harvard. Mm-hmm. And I know that once I hit Chemung Township in the wintertime, I know the road's clear. That matters. I mean, I feel great because of that.
Yep.
And do I like to get up at 3:30 or is it 3:15 in the morning and go freaking plow snow? No, it's not my favorite thing to do. But I know that if once people hit my township, I want that I want that expertise. I want people to feel safe. I want people to say, hey, thank you. And if I'm screwing up, do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Now, if I made a mistake, okay, fine, shit happens. But if I'm doing something that's completely not there, let me know.
Yeah.
Don't hide. Call me up. You know where I live. Call me up. Stop by and say, hey, you're doing this over here, which I really think you probably ought to be doing it this way, or I really think you really need to do that. Let us know. I mean, we're here to protect. We're here to serve. We're here to make sure that things are done the right way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
As a public servant.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. I go to work every day planning to do my job. It is what it is. Every once in a while, you will have people say drop off treats. Like, hey, thanks, you guys helped me up the other day. Like, we really appreciated it. We didn't know what to do. Called you guys, you came, helped. And they'll drop something off saying thank you.
Like special brownies or?
They'll bring brownies, but not special brownies.
This 70s show just popped into my head about special. I don't know why, but that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Right? That makes you feel like, hey, we're doing a good job here.
We don't expect it at all. We don't ask people to do it. It's just some people do it out of their own heart saying, hey, thank you. Like, we just think of it as, hey, yeah, that's what we're here for. Like, you need us, you call us, we'll show up.
We're there.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. Yeah. We got to get back onto a topic that I really want to know about because I know everybody, obviously you went through all your certifications in the beginning to become, in your situation on the ambulance, to become the EMT, the paramedic. What training do you guys have to, because obviously you have to continue your training because things change, right?
Yeah.
Maybe one protocol that you guys were doing now, all of a sudden like, hey, whoa, with this new technology that we have now, that protocol is no longer, we're going to do it this way.
Yep.
What is there like hours a year that you have of updated training, or does it go by quarterly or annually or biannually?
So for my medic license, I don't know the exact hours.
No, I don't need exact hours. I just was curious on how it worked.
Yeah, every 4 years I have to turn in all my continuing education hours. If that ranges from me, sorry.
Oh no! Whenever we're drinking beer, burps are completely normal on this show, so it's no big deal.
Those hours could range from us doing trainings online, doing monthly EMS trainings, because we do trainings all the time for just protocol updates, going over protocols, and or doing skills, going over all the equipment. It's just continuous training. Or if it's Con Ed hours from going and sitting into class.
What? Say that word again.
Con Ed.
What does that mean?
Continuing education.
Okay. Con Ed. That was the shortened term. Gotcha.
Yeah. So we can go sit in on a paramedic class, whatever. It doesn't matter what topic it is. It's just as long as we're getting those hours, we're keeping up to date with protocols, like with our system. And we go through St. Joe's system in Elgin. That's who our EMS system is. If they have protocol rollouts, like, hey, we're updating this protocol, this has changed, this medication dosage changed, like, we're sitting in a couple-hour training, going over it, reasoning why, and what it is, and when it goes into effective date, or if it's, hey, immediately, this is what we're changing to, and this is how we're going to do it.
So you are literally training all the time.
Yeah.
If you're not on call, you probably got some type of training to do, either whether it's on the computer or I'm assuming you guys train with other fire departments as well? And
Yeah.
other EMS teams?
We'll do, we'll have trainings with like the system, our EMS system. So St. Joe's, they have an instructor come out and they'll go over whatever the training may be. For fire trainings, we'll have, MABIS drills and stuff. So we'll have, like the most recent one we were on, we had, 7+ departments came out to our burn tower. And
wow, that's cool.
We did all different bunch of types of trainings for everyone. We work well with our neighbors. We'll do trainings with like Algonquin and stuff because we're close neighbors and we'll be on calls with them or going out to fires with them because they have auto aid agreements. So if we get toned out for a fire, they show up with a certain piece of equipment. They get toned out, we'll show up with whatever equipment that agreed upon is.
I got a question now on that because I don't know the answer to this, and and you said something that made it click in my brain.
Yeah.
So the procedures that you guys all go through in Huntley can be a little bit different than like Algonquin or Libertyville or whatever.
Yeah.
If you get toned out to go help one of those other, do they tell you like, hey, this is what we need you for? Or is it okay? So it is a hey, we need you to come here because of this situation, and then on your guys' way there, you can be like, okay, this is how we're going to handle this.
Yep.
Type deal.
Yep.
So you don't have to. So you don't have to follow like, you don't have to follow like their protocols.
No, we follow all our own protocols because that's what we're taught. That's what we follow. But we'll get toned out. Like we went to Marengo the other day for a car accident. We knew it was a car accident. We knew we were going to have a patient. It was just, what were we going to find when we got there and got that handoff from Marengo.
Gotcha.
So it's just, we know what we're going for most of the time. A lot of times we'll go changing quarters to a department and we'll cover their town. And we'll just
Makes
wait.
sense.
We'll just wait if they get a call or they get back and are available and they'll release us back home.
Yeah, I didn't know how that worked because, I mean, I'm in a situation where I have a Harvard address, but Sharon and Capron are actually closer to my house than Harvard is.
Yep.
So I know if I ever call 911, both of them are going to show up long before Harvard ever will, which is okay. But I didn't know if, being that I got a Harvard address, well, you have to follow Harvard's protocols then. No. I didn't know how that worked.
No, so say there was a fire out here, because we've had it before, out on White Oaks and stuff. Sharon's a lot closer than Harvard is, especially with all the roads and whatever. They're a lot closer.
damn bridges out.
Yeah, right?
Maybe a guy in the township can do something about that, huh?
Yeah, when's that going to open up?
We'll have that conversation off the mic. Because it won't make anyone happy.
But yeah, like for structure fires, we have what's called auto aid. So if we get toned out for a fire, they're getting toned out simultaneously. So they're getting toned out the exact same time we are. So like we have an agreement with all the other towns that they're going to send, hey, we're going to send an engine, or we're going to send a truck, or we're sending an ambulance. So you already know if you get toned out for a fire or something, you already know who's going to show up or who's supposed to be coming. Granted, things can change with towns being busy or whatever.
So is that based on location then? Like certain areas will have that and other areas won't?
No, everyone does. Because there's also, we have a MABUS division, which is called, stands for the Mutual Aid Box Alarm System.
Okay.
So if you say we get a fire at Motorola, there's different types of alarms. There's a box alarm,
Correct.
Second alarm, third alarm.
Yeah, usually the higher the number, the worse the fire that it is, right? Yeah, okay.
So those are all already signed agreements. So we know, hey, if we pull a second box, we're getting all this equipment. Granted, if something changes, dispatch can say, hey, they're unavailable. All right, get me the next one on the list. If you have to go whatever the third category is. Or the next
Gotcha. One. See, I didn't know. I didn't know if it was one of those where like Harvard would get called out and then they get to the fire and go, "Oh shit, we need more," and then the dispatch calls the nearest towns by to come in. So it's not that way. No. It's hey, we have a third alarm fire over here in Harvard, and when if it's a third alarm, we know okay, these people are coming with this, these people are coming with this, unless they're already out or they can't make it or whatever. But you already have an idea, whatever alarm fire that is, who's coming with what. Yeah,
so like if there's a fire downtown Harvard, you already know, hey, Hebron's coming, Woodstock's coming, Marengo's coming. You have Capron ambulance or whoever the ambulance is. I'd have to relook at.
No, yeah.
Who is it?
It don't have to be specific. I just was curious.
So the same time Harvard's getting toned out, all those departments are already getting toned out. And granted, we want to dispatch heavy because if it is a fire, they already are on their way.
It's like a firearm, right? You're better off to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I completely get it. Completely get it.
Everyone, you can be returned. It is what it is. Like, hey, we don't need you. It's a false alarm. Like, you guys can go available.
Right.
It's just you'd rather have it.
Yeah. Like I said.
Exactly.
It's one of those things. Oh, damn. I had a really good question. Now I can't remember it. Happens every freaking podcast. Shoot. It was a good one, too. Trust me, it was a good one. The hell if I can remember it. I know what it is. So, obviously, if it's a fire call, everybody in your fire department goes. What if it's an accident call? Does everybody in your fire department go then?
With Huntley, no. It'll be an engine, ambulance, the battalion chief, and then the truck. That's just how it gets dispatched. And then if we need any more resources or we have an accident with entrapment or multiple patients, we'll call another ambulance, another engine. It just depends on the situation. But that initial dispatch, it'll be, hey, we got...
just an ambulance or whatever the case may be.
An engine, a truck, and an ambulance, especially on the tollway. They'll use...
you guys got to deal with that.
So we have a pretty long stretch of I-90 that we cover. So we'll also have those extra vehicles for blocking purposes.
Oh, that makes total sense.
So that we're protected and all that. That's why those automatically get dispatched right away. It used to be just an engine, ambulance in the battalion. Then they threw the truck in there just so we have that blocking. Because Huntley used to have, while I was in Libertyville, they actually had their one tower ladder get hit on 90. So it's, as you know, people nowadays, they don't pay attention.
Everybody's in a hurry. Everybody's in a hurry.
They're on their phones, not paying attention.
Well, like I told you before we got on the mic, I'm going through CDL class right now.
Yep.
So the first day, they're like, oh, well, Kyle, you got shifting down. Let's go for a drive. And of course, they don't say, hey, we're going to go on some back road so you can understand how this thing turns, which I already know how semis turn. Yeah. You take them long and wide. But they're like, oh, no, we're going to go right through downtown Crystal Lake. I'm like, oh, great. So I can really fuck this up and do something stupid, But people are stupid. I mean, I can't tell you how many accidents we almost seen today. Almost accidents. Now, they weren't, thank God, but almost accidents. I bet there was a dozen. And, we were on the road for 6 hours.
Yeah.
It's like there was almost a dozen accidents, and because people were being stupid. Yeah. All because people were being stupid. It's unbelievable. And and when you get a 90, everything's 70 mile an hour or 65 mile, whatever the hell it is. And like you said, people are doing 80.
Yep.
It's like, holy cow.
Yeah, they just don't pay attention. Or it's, hey, someone's wants to see what's going on, so they're not paying attention to the road because they want to see what's going on, which will cause another accident. It's like, come on, people, just drive.
Yeah, pay attention to the road. Go straight forward. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense than how you guys do that just because of 90 there.
And what's really great is you have IDOT and everything. They have blocking vehicles that actually go farther behind. And
so if you have an accident on 90, do they end up getting called out then at that point too?
Yeah, right away.
So they're part of that alarm system then?
How I don't know how theirs works, but most recently the accidents I've been on out there, they've already been there. They've already been blocking the lane or
really?
Because they actually have special trucks now.
Yeah, they got that big spring loaded thing behind the trucks.
Yep. So they give us room to pull in, but they start blocking that traffic, giving that heads up. So a lot of times they've been there because they're also out on the road.
Correct.
So it's really nice having them.
I didn't know you guys partnered with those guys to do that kind of stuff. That's wonderful. I know when the meat packing plant here in Lawrence went up. Our guy got a call because that was.
It was a couple months ago.
No, shit, it's a couple months. It's been a lot more than a couple months.
It was cold out.
It was cold. Well, that's the reason why. That's the reason we got called out because they.
Did you salt the roads?
Yeah, all the water was freezing on the roads, and they say, "Hey, we need some salt out here." So I know. Yep. I don't think I was around. I might have been gone. Whatever. I was somewhere, but the second guy in charge at that point in time got the call, and he went in, loaded the salt truck up, went out and salted the roads. Because the fire department needed that, because they need to make it safe and everything else. So I do know that we have worked with fire departments and stuff like that before. I just didn't know how the IDOT thing worked. That's pretty cool, though, that they're out there to give you guys a hand. And everything
Anytime
else
there's car fires, accidents, they're normally out there already. They just give us space to pull in or whatever. They'll back up farther if they need to.
Well, an extra set of lights doesn't hurt.
No, not at all.
Because, again, back to stupid people. Yep. They look at lights and go, ooh, pretty light. And then, oh, shit.
Basically.
Yeah, I get it. Well, that's good, man. So how long you think you're going to stay at Huntley for a while then? Is that the goal?
I plan on doing my 30-year career there.
Good for you.
As long as I do everything right and make it off probation, I'll be there for the next 30 years.
How long is your probation?
1 year.
So it is a year probation. Yeah, I didn't know if it was a 9-month probation or you said you were there 6. So I was assuming that it wasn't 6 months.
Yeah. So I got another 6 months to go, but it's been going well pretty far. I just had my quarterly eval done and everything's working good, doing good with the guys.
Good.
So as long as I just keep on the right track, doing my job, doing all the right things.
Doing the right things. Yeah, I got no doubt you'll do well. Especially if you enjoy doing it. Well, I mean, you said before that you love it. So if you love doing it, there's no reason you won't succeed at it.
I'm happy to go to work every day. I'm happy when I get there. Maybe a little tired in the mornings, but hey.
And in today's world, that makes living enjoyable. When you can get up in the morning and go, man, I'm ready to go to work.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go to work. I'm ready to get this day done. And you can go there and you can enjoy yourself. You can have fun doing it. You learn something new.
Yeah.
It makes life great. 40 years ago, people worked because they had to work.
Yep.
And if you can
did whatever job they got.
Yeah. I look at my dad who is obsessed with farming, right? I mean, if he could do that every day for the rest of his life, if he could do that every day since he was 18, he's a happy man now, but he'd have been just beyond happy. But instead he had to go to a factory that paid the bills. And you look at that and you go, yeah, he's got what he's got now because of that. But he put a lot of hours in that factory and didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So if you can go to a job that you absolutely love, man, that's just awesome.
Yeah, it was very great, very fortunate for where I'm at, and happy to be there.
Hell yeah.
I work with great guys too, so
that helps. That helps a lot. Yeah, I've worked I've definitely worked with people that I wasn't very fond of, and I know who weren't fond of me, and shit happens. You had to make it work because that was just part of the way it was. But the people that you work with can damn make or break it. No doubt about that.
Yeah, we could have a busy day, not sleep all night, but you're working with a good group of guys who.
So if you do have a slow day, do you get a little? I mean, do you try to get a little cat nap then through the night or something if you can?
I don't on probation. Usually guys will we call it a safety nap, but usually after we finish lunch cleaning up, usually take 20 minutes, close your eyes for a little bit because
a power nap's good. Yeah, power nap's fine as far as I'm concerned.
Other times we got downtime or at nighttime, we could play bags or something. I know one guy I work with, he just got a bag set for his birthday.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Tournaments, here we come, right? Yeah.
So he brought him in. Depending on how the day went, we ended up running calls and being late. We were going to play bags because it was his birthday. He was working on his birthday. But we ended up running calls and, hey, whatever. We didn't.
There's always next time, right?
Yeah.
There's always next time. And then if not, there's always the time after that. It's never. I didn't know if they said, hey, each one of you has got to try to get whatever, an hour nap every night or something. 4 of you stay up, 1 of you takes a little cat nap. When that cat nap's over, the next person goes in. I didn't know how all that worked, but they're basically saying, hey, if you're here, we want you up. We want you doing something productive.
Yeah, for the most part. You can definitely go to bed early. Like, hey, it's 9 o'clock. I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed. A lot of us just stay up till 10. We sit around and BS and talk about stuff because that's just what we do.
Yeah.
And but hey, you're exhausted, go to bed. Go to bed early. After chores are done, you want to go to bed, go to bed.
Yeah. We'll wake you up if something happens.
Yeah. Those tones will go off, you'll get up.
Oh God. I'm sure they're loud and obnoxious too. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, because we got to get up and we got to do our best. So it's if you get that little nap at night or at lunch, it's great.
Well, that's why I brought that up because you guys need to be at your best all the time.
Yep.
You don't have failure is not really an option.
No.
So if you're there 24 hours, I didn't know if there was like, hey, go catch a little snooze so you can be at your best if something happens or when something happens.
Yep.
And at least that way, hey, I got a little bit of shut eye. I'm good. Give me that monster. We'll head out.
Yep. That's kind of what that lunch period is for. We kind of try and have it done so you get that little 20-minute, half hour to kind of just relax because you just never know.
No, you don't.
You could be up all night. You could sleep all night.
Well, you could have one bad call and
it goes, hours.
It goes for hours. It could go for days if it's a real bad call.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, you want to make sure you're at your best. That's why I brought that up. That's all.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been on a fire scene for 14 hours. Like, it was a long night.
Yeah, I bet.
It was very long, but it's nice. Addie lets me come home and take a nap if I need it. I'll let her know, hey, we've been up all night. Because usually I text her, hey, we're going on a call. So she knows, like, I'm out, whatever. Just if she wakes up with the baby or she just sees that, hey, I'm out, check in all the time, kind of what we do. Makes her happy.
Absolutely. You got to keep her informed.
So if I have a really long night and she's home, what's nice is the baby likes to take naps. So I'll hold the baby.
Yeah.
But
baby naps,
uh-huh.
and then man naps.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
I don't know what it is. Every time I hold her and she falls asleep, I become tired. I can be wide awake. But if she's sleeping, I'm like, man, that looks nice.
Baby sleeping, I sleeping. Bryton, man, it's been good to have you. This has been a very informal podcast that we've done here. Thank you for taking the time.
Of course.
And thank you for doing what you do again. We can't say thank you guys enough for what you guys all do, and it's just awesome. It really is.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate you asking me to be on here.
We're going to do this again sometime, a little later in the future when you got some cool stories to tell, and after you get a little more acclimated with the guys that you're there with, and we'll have you come on back, and we'll get her done on another time and have fun, have this fun again.
All right. I'm excited for that.
Bryton, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Kyle.